If you're a dumb idiot when it comes to makeup, keep on watching because I'm gonna explain it all for you right now. I'm about to give you guys all of the tips and tricks that I use on a daily basis when I do my makeup, so keep on watching. Make sure to moisturize your face before doing your makeup. It makes the world of a difference and it makes all of your makeup go on so much easier. I like to start off with my eyebrows because I use a eyebrow gel like this. This is called the e.l.f. Brow Lift. I use the brow brush first, dip into the product, and I coat my brows upward. If you have stubborn eyebrows, you can go back and forth with the product. And then you will go back and you will put the brows into place. If you guys don't know what primer is, primer basically is something you're gonna put on before you put on foundation. If I was going to use a primer, it would be to fill in my pores. So I use this one. This is by SheGlam. This is the Birthday Skin Primer. You're just gonna work it into your skin, kind of like it's a lotion. I put way too much. So in the summertime, I don't really like using foundations. I like using tinted moisturizers. I'm gonna use the Laura Mercier tinted moisturizer today. I like blending in my tinted moisturizers with my fingers, but you can use a beauty sponge. You want to make sure not to bring your foundation or tinted moisturizer underneath your eye. The less makeup that's underneath your eyes, the better, because you do not want your under eyes looking cakey. Okay, so now that it's mostly blended in, I'm gonna go in with my beauty blender. Don't forget to bring it down your neck. You never want to be caught dead with that harsh line of foundation. Now there's two types of concealer that I want to explain to you. There's more of a lightweight concealer and then there's more of a thicker, heavier concealer. Lightweight concealer I like to use for underneath my eyes. Heavier concealer I like to use for concealing things like pimples, scars, things like that. For a heavier concealer, honestly, there's nothing better than the NARS Soft Matte Concealer. How I like using this concealer is taking a concealer brush, something like this, and you're gonna dip into the pot, and you're gonna just apply it on any blemishes or dark spots that you have. I also like using this concealer on my nose because my nose gets really red around the corners. We're gonna let this sit. The longer you're gonna let your concealer sit like this, the more coverage it's going to give you. Now, for under eyes, this is the best concealer ever. I recommend it to everyone. The Bare Minerals Original Liquid Mineral Concealer. I like having concealer that is more close to my skin tone. I just like the way it looks better, but you totally can get a concealer in a few shades lighter to brighten up your face. So now we're gonna let this sit. We're gonna go back to the NARS concealer now, and we're gonna just blend it in with our finger, simply tapping on top and making sure it's all blended in. And after I blend it out with my finger, I like to go back over with the sponge just to make sure everything's blended in seamlessly. For the concealer under the eyes, I like to use a brush. This is a new thing I've liked to do. The concealer I like to use is more of an orangey tone. Orange and blue are opposite on the color wheel, so if you're gonna use like an orangey toned concealer, it's gonna cancel out the dark circles. You can go back in with your sponge if you want, just to pick up any extra product. Okay, now for contour, we're gonna go in with the Patrick Ta contour, and I'm gonna take it on a brush like this, kind of a smaller brush so you get more precise. Not going to place your contour underneath your cheekbone. That is going to drag your face down. You are going to place your contour on top of your cheekbone, like so. I like applying my contour in a dabbing motion. You're never just gonna swipe it on. And once you do your makeup for a long time, you're gonna start to just learn your face and learn where you're gonna place all these products. But it is kind of challenging to figure out where to place it in the beginning. If you wanna make your forehead appear smaller, you're gonna take your contour and you're going to place it on the top. This is going to reduce that appearance of your 5 head. If you would like to do your jawline, please be careful and make sure to blend it. See where that natural shadow is? That's what you're gonna enhance. I also like bringing it up and connecting it. See the difference? Now, nose contour is kind of challenging to figure out. Everyone is going to contour their nose differently for what they need. I like my nose to look as small as possible. I like to look like I cannot breathe. So what I'm going to do, take my contour shade, and I'm going to first apply it at the bottom. This is going to make my nose look more lifted. Now I'm going to take it and go up kind of into my eyebrow. I feel like this just makes my nose look more small throughout the bridge. I honestly just put 2 little dabs of product and then 1 across, and that's what I do for my nose contour. See how I kind of look like a deer? That's what I want to look like. Now we're gonna blend it in. I like to go in with a bigger brush. We're gonna go in and we're just gonna dab. Lightly dab in, and if you have a good product, it will blend. We are dabbing. We are not dragging. Dragging, no good. You also want to make sure to keep your product in the place you placed it. You don't want to be swiping all over and it's gonna move the contour around and then you're gonna end up making your face look all long. Not cute. For nose contour, I like taking my beauty blender and I just go over everything and it kind of just automatically blends it for you. Okay, next we have blush. You can use cream or liquid blush, whatever you choose. This is my new favorite blush. This is by Say Beauty. This is the shade Chili. If you want the lifted effect, you're going to apply your blush on the high points of your cheek. Also apply a little dab of blush on the part of my nose that I contoured. I just think it looks really cute. With blush, I like using a brush over my sponge because the sponge picks up a lot of the product, and I just dab it in place. Once again, with the dabbing. Also, if you guys don't know, blush is the first thing to fade on your face. Blush just fades really fast, so that's why I like to put a little bit more blush on because I know it will fade by the end of my makeup. Okay, next is highlighter. I love using liquid highlighter. It's just my favorite thing ever. This is the best liquid highlighter I have ever used in my life. It's by Rare Beauty in the shade Flaunt. I put it on the tip of my nose, and then I'll just do like 2 dots on the high point of my cheek. I blend this in with my finger, and I'll just dab it, and I bring it underneath my eyebrow. Okay, next we have powder. I'm gonna go in with my Charlotte Tilbury powder today. Before you put your powder under your eyes, you want to make sure there are no creases. I like to just dab underneath my eyes to make sure I'm not creased under there. And then you're just going to dab. Do you see already how much more blurred that looks? I used to be scared of powder. I used to be scared, oh my god, I'm gonna look cakey. It's gonna look bad. No, powder fixes everything. So if you have any type of texture, you just put your powder right on it, boom, blurred, gone. Now something that really helps minimize the look of powder is setting spray. I like to take my setting spray and I like to spray my face in between every powder step or every other powder step. It just melts all the products together. Let it marinate now. This is a good time to clean off your lips from all of the gross powder and stuff. So after I just sprayed my face, I let it dry, and now I'm gonna curl my eyelashes for the first time in this routine. Okay, after we curled, put that away for now. We're gonna go in with powder bronzer and powder blush. For powder bronzer, this is Physicians Formula. We're going in and we're just gonna enhance where we put the contour earlier. And honestly, with powder bronzer, I go in with a fluffy brush that you would use for eyeshadow, and I just put it in my crease just to warm up everything and to tie the colors in. I also put a little bit underneath my eyes. Time for blush. I just go like this. I don't pick a color. I like all the colors, and I just apply it on the high points of my cheeks just to accentuate what we put on before. We're gonna curl our eyelashes again before we put on our mascara. By the way, this is the best eyelash curler I've ever used. This is by Tweezerman. Now you're also probably wondering if we're ever gonna do anything with our eyebrows again. I would recommend doing your eyebrows again after you put on powder, so your powder doesn't get in your eyebrows. I like doing it before I do my mascara. I use this little pen. I just line the bottom of my eyebrow and fill in any sparse areas. Okay, now time for mascara. If you want your eyelashes to stay up all day, waterproof mascara is the way to go, but I hate taking off waterproof mascara, so I use regular. This is the L'Oreal Telescopic Carbon Black Mascara. Best mascara ever. I love it so much. Honestly, drugstore mascaras are better than high-end mascaras, and they're way more affordable. Don't buy an expensive mascara. You don't need it. I like focusing my mascara on the outer corners of my eyes because it makes my face look elongated. It's okay if you get it on your eyelid like I just did. I'll show you how to take that off. Okay, our mascara is dried, and now it's time to take off the stuff that's got on our eyelid. You can either go in with a spoolie brush or Q-tips. I'm gonna show you both ways. So you take a spoolie brush like this and you're just gonna simply scratch it off. Once it's dry, it should just flake right off, or you can use a Q-tip. I like using a Q-tip if I don't have any eyeshadow on because it's just easier. Yeah, if you have eyeshadow on though, definitely use the spoolie trick. Okay, time for lips. We're going in with our lip liner first. This is by NYX in the shade Peekaboo Neutral. I need a new one, clearly. I don't line the corners. I feel like it makes my mouth look too long. I like lining just the top. If you want to overline a little bit, that's perfectly fine. See how that already just made my lips look like a Bratz doll? I love the way that looks. And then I go for the bottom. I just put a little bit in the middle. And then you can fill in a little bit if you want. Now, if you want a little bit of shine, this is a lip oil. This is by Sigma. I love it so much. I just put it on and it kind of blends the lip liner for you. Look how cute and juicy our lips look now. Okay, now if you haven't noticed, our eyelashes have fallen. So we're gonna go in and just curl. Apparently you're not supposed to do this. I've always done it. If your eyelashes fall out, don't blame me. And there we go. This is how I get the basic look. It's a lot of steps to look this good, isn't it? Ew, why did I just sound like that? Now you can go in one more time with your setting spray. Remember to comment below if you guys want me to do a drugstore or a high-end version of this. If you guys want more in-depth of either each step or in-depth of each product, let me know, okay? I love you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one.
Today, I'm showing you how to look like a filter in real life. Consider this a masterclass. Grab your popcorn. I'm gonna start with my eyebrows just because I want to get them out the way. Starting with the Kosas Brow Pop Pencil, I'm just gonna draw a line from the front of my eyebrow over to where it starts to arch. I'm just gonna draw a parallel line at the top of my brow. And we're just gonna take this and form the arch. So now our brows look like this, but we're not done. I'm gonna take the Kosas Nano Pop Pencil and we're gonna fill in the front of my eyebrow. This is dependent on your brow shape, but mine don't have much hair in the middle, so I have to fill it in. Just like that, it's very natural, nothing too crazy. And then I'm gonna take the Rare Beauty Clear Brow Gel and just gently brush over all my brow hairs. I'm gonna take the Westman Atelier Face Trace Contour Stick to add contour lines. I'm using the shade Truffle, and this is where I'd consider my cheekbone to be. I'm literally just gonna put it right on my cheekbone. The reason that I'm doing this is because I feel like when I put it too low, it kind of drags my face down. So keeping it higher up helps enhance your cheekbones and then also make your face look more lifted. Also going to add a bit right here on my temple, because as we blend this out, this will also help lift our eye up. And then I also create this little V shape on my chin. This will help narrow in my face once we create these shadows. I'm also using this to contour my nose, and instead of doing the rainbow shape on our nose, we're gonna do an upside down U. This will help make the contour look more realistic because it'll create that button effect like your nose is coming out. Now I'm gonna go in with a bit of cream blush. This is the Haus Labs Glassy Rosette Cream Blush. Your blush color does not matter, it's personal preference. I change the color like every day, but I just put it right above where we put the contour and then a little bit on my nose. I know it looks like I have blush blindness, just trust me, it's gonna calm down in a few steps. I'm gonna put some concealer on my face using the Tower 28 Serum Concealers, but you wanna have two concealer shades because you wanna have one that's brightening for your under eye and like the center points of your face, and then one that's closer to your skin tone just to cover up any blemishes. I love the Tower 28 concealers because they're so creamy and thin, so they don't look cakey on your face, but they're also really high coverage. I'm gonna go in with my lighter shade and put that right on my eye bag, around my nose, in the center of my chin. Then I'm going in with the shade that's my skin tone, and I'm putting that on the outsides of my mouth, nose, and eyes. Look at the difference in my cheek before and after. I'm telling y'all, the coverage is so good with this. I'm dragging this line from my mouth to the center of my ear and blending this around the sides of my nose. Women naturally get hormonal redness around their nose, so I just like to cover that. Blend out the under eyes, and then I'm also dragging this up towards my temple. This will also just help create the lifted effect that we want. And I'm bringing this concealer up the sides of my nose to kind of reverse contour the nose. I just take the excess on the brush over my eyelids because I want to get rid of these veins that I have. And this is something I'm trying to get better at, but I'm also going to add some on my forehead. I'm really forgetful with my forehead makeup. Now we have completed layer 1 of our makeup. I'm going to take some of the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. I'm using the shade 4.5 and just put a little bit on the back of my hand. I'm going to take a flat circular brush, just kind of stipple that across the whole brush evenly. I'm gonna stipple this across my whole face. Look at that result. Yeah, before and after, it just blends everything together. I love it. Then obviously, if your face is looking this flawless, your neck needs to as well. So make sure to always drag your foundation down a little bit because you don't want any harsh lines. Now you can still see the subtle undertones of the pink blush and then the contour, but it looks a lot more natural when you do it before foundation. I'm gonna take this Armani Beauty Luminous Silk highlighter. This is in the shade 3. I'm just gonna put some pretty high up on my cheekbone. This is just because the higher you put up your highlighter, the higher up your cheekbones and your whole face in general look. Now I like to take a little bit more of our lighter concealer and just do a second layer on my eye bag just because mine are very prevalent and I like covering them up. So I just use this to kind of re-brighten my under eyes and also blend out any creases that might have formed, which are totally normal if you haven't set your face yet. So I immediately go into setting my face. I use the Kosas Cloud Set setting powder. I've been using it pretty much every day since it came out. I'm just gonna take a little bit of this, and the key to looking like a filter is that you need to look airbrushed, and powder is the way to do that. So you want to be generous with the powder. Carve out the sides of my nose, and then I also set my under eyes. I'm basically just following exactly where I took the concealer earlier, so up to my temples, and I'll basically blend out my under eye setting powder completely. I won't really let it sit or anything, but I will let my nose setting powder sit. I'm also gonna drag a line from my ear out to my mouth, and the reason that I do this is because it helps brighten the underside of my cheek, kind of make my cheek contour more prevalent without it being too harsh. You don't want a harsh contour line on your cheek, so instead I just kind of brighten up the sides, and it looks a lot more natural that way in my opinion. Just like this, and then from the front you can see it's brighter down here. Then I make sure to also set the center of my chin and also around my nose. And this is a pretty known rule of thumb, especially if you are in the makeup world, but I'm gonna say it anyways in case you don't know, that you use setting powder to set wherever you put concealer. So I put it right on my eyes, around my nose, and on my chin, and dragged it up in the same spots I put my concealer, but I didn't put any setting powder where I put my blush or contour earlier, because you set cream blush and cream contour with powder blush and powder contour. I feel like when you start stacking too many powders is when your makeup starts to look cakey, so only use the setting powder where you put your concealer. Now I'm gonna go in with powder bronzer and set where we put the cream earlier. And you'll notice this shade is not super dark. I'm not using a dark brown. This is a good medium brown that will look really natural on my skin tone. The reason that I don't put bronzer across my entire forehead is because I think this helps add dimension to my face. So I like keeping the center of my face all bright, including my forehead. And then I will take the excess and also put that on my eyelid. Now before we do anything else, I'm going to add on a lip stain, because if you want to look like a filter in real life, you can't go out in public and then have your lip combo completely disappear on you. That'll just ruin the whole vibe. So I like to have a little color on my lips at all time, and the only way I can ensure that is if I use a lip stain. This is the Sachi Beauty lip stain in the shade Pink. Next, I'm gonna go in with powder blush. This is the Haus Labs Pomelo Peach powder blush. I feel like the Pomelo Peach is the perfect blush color for me, for this to still look natural and like a filter. I'm not gonna go in with some super dark plum blush shade because that would just look way too harsh on my face. And I'm gonna go in with a fluffy brush to apply this. I also take a little bit of blush and I just run it across my forehead and my chin. It's because I like the colors I'm using on my face to be cohesive throughout my whole face. So I feel like it looks more natural if there's like undertones of the same blush color running through the whole face. And I'm gonna take the same brush I just put my blush on with and just kind of wipe away this powder. I don't see many people using these. I really have been loving like bronzers or highlighting blush. A product that has at least 2 of the 3 products we put here. So bronzer, blush, highlighter. This is a highlighting blush from Bare Minerals. Bare Minerals has like so many of these. They have bronzer shades as well. I feel like just putting on products like this helps merge these 3 lines and makes everything blend a lot more seamless. So I'm gonna put this right where I put the blush, just a little bit higher because we haven't put highlighter on yet. It creates that beautiful glow on your face. It's still really natural. And then I'm going to take this Charlotte Tilbury Easy highlighter. This kind of scares me sometimes because I know that it's a liquid highlighter and I don't like putting it on top of powder products, but I haven't had any issues with it yet, so I like doing it. Preferably I'd put it on a little bit earlier, but sometimes it slips my mind. I'm also going to put this on the tip of my nose and then down the bridge of my nose. And you want your highlighter to stay within the border of the nose contour you did earlier. Next, we're gonna skip up to eyes. This is like slowly becoming one of my favorite steps in my makeup routine. I used to hate doing my eyes because I used to be so bad at like eyeshadow and making things look natural and blend well. I do feel like I'm getting a little bit better at it, especially because I use products like this. This is an eyeshadow stick, which are way easier to use than actual palettes. So this is the Kimchi Jumbo Queen Eye Crayon, and I'm using the shade Cinnamon. I used to use a really like white vanilla ice cream shade, but I feel like it didn't look that natural on my skin tone. Like you could definitely tell exactly where I put it, whereas this color is much closer to my skin tone, so I feel like it blends a lot better. And I do just put that on top of my entire eyelid. And then I do also take this across my, what even is this section called? It's like not my waterline, but it's my skin under my eye. I take the eye pencil and I put it kind of maybe like 2/3 of the way towards the inner part of my eye. And I'll show you with it just on one eye. I feel like it just adds a little bit more depth to my eye. I do feel like this has orange undertones as well, which is opposite of blue on the color wheel, so I feel like it makes my blue eyes pop. Okay, I am also gonna take a little bit of the Charlotte Tilbury eyeshadow palette, and I'm just gonna take this, it's almost like a brownish gray color. Just keep that kind of towards my crease. Then I'll put just a little bit under my eye. I'm going to curl them using the Tweezerman lash curler, then just clamp them up. I like looking down while I do it. I feel like it helps really lift them to the sky. Today I'm gonna use the Lashy Doll Flutter Extension Mascara from Lancome, and I just have a little mirror here that I look down into. Now, if you really want to look like a filter in real life, I do recommend adding a few lash clusters to the outsides of your lashes just to add a little bit more fullness. I feel like every filter on like Instagram and TikTok also have like little clusters they add. That's the difference. It just kind of adds a little something, and I feel like it makes a cat eye almost. And it only takes me like 2 minutes, so I'm like, why not just do it? I feel like it really pulls everything together. I'm using a lip liner. I'm going in with the Makeup Forever Anywhere Caffeine lip liner. I like any pinky brown liner color, so if this liner starts to fade when I go out or if I'm eating or whatever, the stain will still be there. Still have a little something on my lips. I'm gonna add a light pink gloss. This is a Buxom shade White Russian. This is a plumping lip oil. I like anything that like plumps or fills in lip lines or blurs lip lines or anything like that. Then I'm just gonna go in with the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. I'm not too picky on my setting sprays unless I'm going to like a festival or something. It's really just like whichever one I grab first. And that is my completed makeup look, how to look like a filter in real life. My makeup looks so good right now. I really hope it's coming through in the camera. There's no beauty filters, nothing on this. If you love in-depth tutorials on hair, makeup, skincare, make sure to follow me. I'll be posting a lot more in the next few months. Everything I used in this video will be linked in my LTK, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.